Hi, this is Jay Martin, Nebraska Department of Education School Safety and Security Director, bringing you part 2 of the Digital Parent Academy. This part is on synthetic media, how a lot of what we're seeing online may not even be real. We really got to pay attention and be better digital consumers. Let's get started on part 2 of the Digital Parent Academy. This is part 2 of the Digital Parent Academy, Synthetic Media. It is all part of the Digital Wisdom Framework. Hopefully you caught part 1, Platform Pressures. Don't forget to catch Exploiting Emotions and Digital Fitness to complete the Digital Parent Academy. Just what is synthetic media? Well, journalism used to be by degree, but it's not by degree anymore. Anybody can really go online today and post something fake. And if you have a lot of followers, it's not really hard to create a lot of fake news. With the assistance of AI and these algorithms today, it's really easy to influence a lot of people in a very short amount of time. We all have to become better digital consumers to be more digitally wise. So just what is the problem? Well, the trouble with quotes today on the internet is you never know if they're genuine. Abraham Lincoln. Now, if you look at that picture, you know that's Benjamin Franklin, not Abraham Lincoln. But for somebody who doesn't know what he looks like, you could get people to believe it. Believe it or not, Stanford actually did a study a few years back where they put 12 different states, all demographics, in middle school, high school, and college students to see if they could determine if things were real or not online. Only about 20% of the students were actually able to determine if it was true or not true. It was kind of disturbing to see that we had such a problem trying to figure out the truth online. It's actually called the CRAP test by Molly Beestrom. Is it current, reliable, who's the authority behind it, and what's their purpose? Typically, it's not current, it's not reliable, and the authority behind it has a purpose, and that purpose is to influence us. Harvard Business Journal actually put out that false news travels farther, faster, and deeper. This, I think we all can agree on. We actually call this the spiral effect of fake news. Basically, it starts with that suggestion. An idea is put out there for consideration. Then the propaganda will begin, that misleading or biased information to try to promote a point of view. Eventually, we start imitating or copying or simulating that information. The rumor mill starts and we recirculate this information, altering us to change our character or our emotions about a particular topic. Ultimately, guys, it leads us down a particular direction into this new reality, the spiral effect of fake news. In this next video, I created a scroll. Basically, we're going to swipe through a bunch of different things. I want you to think about it as you go through it. What would you actually linger over, continue to watch, or just scroll right on by? And then we'll have some questions at the end.
A policeman is a composite of what all men are, I guess, a mingling of saint and sinner, dust and deity. Called statistics, wave the fan over stinkers.
What kind of plant is that? Is that weed?
No.
Hi.
Hi.
Did we match on Tinder?
Did we match on Tinder?
Yes.
I don't think so. I don't have a Tinder.
I think.
Last half century, none has had a greater impact than this.
Oh, no!
Men and women of all ages agreed. It was the attack on the World Trade Center on September 11th, 2001.
It collapsed. The top floor's up there. Rogers takes the ball at the 30. He's hit and got away. Back upfield to the 35, to the 40. He's to the 45. He's to the 50, to the 45, to the 40, to the 35, to the 20, to the 10. He's all the way home.
He believed in himself. And you can too.
Oh man, you gonna put it on me like that?
You can do anything that you want. You can You can get singing lessons, get a better job, make more money. You could be even like rich. You could live in the White House someday. No! No! You're a girl. No! Stop!
So what they say is our attention spans only last about 10 to 20 seconds, why we end up scrolling through these social feeds. So the question I have, list everything you recalled from the scroll feed you just watched. Write down a list of everything that you remember. Next, what stood out? Which post would you have lingered on, or which ones would have you passed by? Lastly, which ones were real, which ones were fake, and which ones were ads? Results are basically individualized by what we see, what we want to click on, what we linger over, or what we swipe right through. It's up to us to make those decisions, but we all can end up going down different paths online. Ultimately, that's what we need to figure out. What is our retention? What is our attention? And is this mindless? Are we just wasting our life? So just how do we get this misinformation? Typically, it's emotionally charged information, and it can be spread very rapidly online with hashtags, trolls, and bots. Watch this video and you'll see just how quickly things can be spread. This one's going to talk about the Parkland shooting and how certain topics were spread through trolls, bots, and hashtags.
But tonight, that conversation surrounding the Parkland shooting has been infiltrated by trolls and bots. Your social media feed isn't what you think it is. Here's why. Within 24 hours of the tragedy, nonpartisan researchers tracking Russian-linked Twitter accounts registered a sharp uptick in trending hashtags and topics related to the Florida shooting. Arguments ensue and disinformation spread, all because of bots and trolls. Bots are automated social media accounts. They work like a plane on autopilot, but their human operators create the settings. Trolls are real people commenting and sharing posts that align with their personal agenda. When an event happens, like the Parkland shooting, trolls will use controversial hashtags to insert themselves into the trending conversations. At the same time, bots are programmed to target the trolls' hashtags to amplify the message. The bot hijacks the message behind the hashtags, plastering it to the news feeds of millions of users. That's how social media manipulation works.
If you remember from the Parkland shooting, one of those things that was really pushed out was gun control. It was one of those factors that really got pushed out a lot, all because of the hashtags that were perpetuated by trolls and bots. So as I mentioned, that emotionally charged content sends us down these paths. It really comes down to one thing when it comes to social media. It confirms our prior beliefs. Does anybody in here like being wrong? No, nobody likes being wrong. It's actually called confirmation bias, my-sided bias. We end up clicking on things and always being told, yes, we're right, yes, we're right. This thing must be true. It creates that echo chamber where we only see one alternative point of view. We might all start on the same news story, but end up on a different side of the story just based off what we're clicking on. It creates the polarization that we see in the world today. The loudest online voice is going to get the most attention. Those viral biases or opinions. It is up to us to regulate our emotions, government loyalties, and our biases, but this is difficult to do when we're fed things to reconfirm what we already believe to be true. So we have the emotionally charged content online. So just how do we get the truth? Well, in this video, you're going to hear this guy kind of explain the process. The process is just this. We got to challenge our online truths. To try to really figure out what is true or not true, you got to try to disprove what you already believe to be true. Watch this video and hopefully this will explain more of how to do this and how it would correlate online.
I'm going to give you guys 3 numbers, a 3-number sequence, and I have a rule in mind that these 3 numbers obey. And I want you to try to figure out what that rule is. But the way that you can get information is by proposing your own set of 3 numbers to which I will say, yes, that follows my rule, or no, it doesn't follow my rule, and then you can propose what you think the rule is. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so here are the 3 numbers. 2, 4, 8.
2, 4, 8.
You don't need to continue the sequence, you can propose a totally different sequence, whatever you want to propose, and I will simply say yes or no, that follows my rule.
2, 4, 8. 16, 32.
16, 32, and
64.
Those also follow my rule.
Okay.
What's the rule? What are you thinking?
Multiply by 2.
That is not my rule.
What?
That's not my rule. But you're allowed, if you want, propose 3 other numbers.
3, 6, 12.
3, 6, 12.
3, 6, 12 follows my rule.
10, 20, 40.
10, 20, 40.
That follows the rule.
Yeah, I'm still multiplying by 2.
I know.
Ah.
I know what you're doing. And yes, it follows my rule, but no, it's not my rule.
5, 10.
10 and 20.
Follows my rule.
100.
200, 400.
Follows my rule.
500, 1,000, 2,000.
Follows my rule.
Want me to keep going?
But do I just keep going? You're going to tell me your rule?
Am I doing it the wrong way? Am I approaching this the wrong way?
You're totally fine,
Okay.
but you're approaching it the way most people approach it. Like, think strategically about this. You want information.
Yeah.
I have information. The point of the 3 numbers, right, is to allow you to figure out what the rule is.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I'm going to give you the numbers that I don't think fits the sequence and then see what you say. So I'll say 2, 4, 7.
Fits my rule.
So whatever I propose is right?
So is your rule like you can propose any number? So the rule is anything we say is yes.
No.
Damn it.
But you are on the right track now. Hit me with 3 numbers.
3, 6, 9.
Follows my rule.
Oh, that didn't follow my rule.
This is good, right?
5, 10, 15.
That follows my rule.
What? Oh. Really?
Yeah.
I don't believe this.
1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3.
Follows the rule.
What about 7, 8, 9?
Follows. Yes, that follows the rule.
8, 16, 39.
Fits the rule.
Excellent.
But we're no closer to the rule. I want you to get to the rule.
How about 1, 7, 13?
Follows the rule.
What?
11, 12, 13.
How does this
Follows
make
the
sense?
rule.
10,
I don't
9,
know how
8.
to do this.
Does not follow the rule.
10, 9, 8 does not.
Oh, so is it all in ascending order?
Booyah.
Okay.
Up top. Yes, first
that
ones
what
to
it
get
is?
it. You guys nailed it. That's the rule. That's the rule. Increase numbers in increasing order. Numbers in ascending order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 15, 25. Doesn't matter. Any numbers in ascending order. I was inspired to make this video by the book The Black Swan by Nassim Taleb. Now, the black swan is a metaphor for the unknown and the unexpected. I mean, in the old world, the theory was that all swans were white. So each instance of a white swan would make you think, yeah, that theory's pretty good. But the point is, you can never prove a theory true. And in fact, when people found Australia, they realized that there were black swans. What was interesting for me was that everyone I spoke to came up with a rule very early on and then only proposed numbers that fit with that rule they were thinking. I was looking for you guys to propose a set of numbers that didn't follow your rule and didn't follow my rule. I was looking for you guys not to try to confirm what you believe. You're always asking something where you expect the answer to be yes, right? Like you're trying to get at it.
But instead you want to get the no.
You want to get the no because that's much more informational for you than the yes. Like if everything's
No,
giving a
that is
yes.
true. That is really true once you say that.
That is what's so important about the scientific method. We set out to disprove our theories. And it's when we can't disprove them that we say, this must be getting at something really true about our reality. So I think we should do that in all aspects of our lives. If you think that something is true, you should try as hard as you can to disprove it. Only then can you really get at the truth and not fool yourself.
And that's really what it comes down to, is we have to try to disprove what we believe to be true online. Often our confirmation bias get in the way, and we only want to be reassured that we were right in the first place. And many times we're not right, because they say there is quite a bit of information online today that is not true at all. So we got to purposely go out and try to seek the truth. And how do we do that? Disprove our truths. So again, why can't we find the truth? Well, there's three barriers that cause us not to see the truth. One is our impulse, those emotional triggers, or that social conformity. We want to believe those falsehoods. The intuitions, our preconceived confirmation bias, lead us down these paths, potentially to the dark side. And then those incentives, again, that dopamine hit that I mentioned in part one, where it inspires us to overlook the facts because there's money, ratings, or again, that thumbs up, that emotional dopamine hit that we might get. Fact checking is needed to overcome this ease of fake news. Again, disprove our truths. Often it's based off of our perceptions. Is our perception everything? What you're going to see in this video, I want you to watch this body cam video. There will be no audio. Watch the body cam video of this officer. I want you to tell me if this officer is severely threatened, moderately threatened, or not threatened at all. Then we'll talk about it. So what did you see? Was the officer very threatened, moderately threatened, slightly threatened, or was he not threatened at all? What about, did you think the officer was justified in using force? Most people in this study, this was an actual study, so they actually saw more of this video, thought he was either very threatened or at least moderately threatened. They thought he was justified in using force. A lot of this can be based off, again, what we see, hear, read, or maybe even some of our preconceived notions of what we feel about officers and or victims. But most people thought he was either, again, very or moderately threatened. But they didn't have a full perspective. It's all based off our position, our perception, and our perspective of an event. I want you to watch a different position and see if you have a different thought of what really happened. Yes, they were dancing, but the only way you saw that was by changing your position. It gave you a different perception and a full, true perspective of events. That's what we have to do online. We have to purposely go online and change our position. In this next video you're going to see, hopefully it'll explain position, perception, and perspective a little bit better. So here we are again. Can you tell me, are these cards identical? Again, think about your position. You might think differently after watching this video.
Hey, what's up, friends? Thanks for joining me. We're going to cover 3 P's today, but let's start with the first two, perspective and perception. Now, perception is the way you regard or understand or interpret something. It's a mental impression or process, so it's based on the senses. So what you see, hear, taste, or feel, and what you interpret from that. Perspective is a particular attitude toward a way of regarding something. It's a point of view. So perspective is a result of perception. So perspective, your attitude, is a result of the way you interpret stuff via the senses. So let's go back to our cards. You couldn't really tell which one was bigger because of your perception. You weren't able to correctly perceive the cards. Now let's introduce the third P, position. Had you altered your position, it would have been easier to tell which card was bigger. So perspective comes from perception, but your perception is influenced by your position.
So that's really what it comes down to. Again, online, we got to purposely go out and change our position. Once we change our position, we can see things differently. If you didn't catch it, those two cards were not identical. The one in the back was actually bigger, but because it was offset, and when you changed your position, you were able to get a different perception, which would have given you a different perspective. Our position determines everything. We don't see things as they are, we see them as we are. Because is this 3 or is it 4? It depends on our position. That will lead us to our perception, what we see, hear, and feel. Is it 3 or 4? Which gives us our attitude. No, it's 3. No, it's 4. But to get a better truth, it all involves changing our position to see the true reality. We need to purposely seek out that different position online. Ultimately, what this leads to is a problem with empathy. Because is this guy drowning? Is he short? Do we care? Often we don't have empathy for this other person or the tall person. We just don't have that empathy today because we don't want to see the other side. Again, it comes down to that issue of not wanting to take the time or disprove our own truths. How our attitude or our perspective gets misled? Well, a perfect example is the cancel culture. It's that emotional behavior that's created by digital influences. Those opposing points of view where we no longer want to debate what's different about us. We just want to shame, create hate, fear, or anger, or those emotional contagions to drive online obscurities, basically sending people down that unempathetic path. We got to develop more empathetic understanding and allow other points of view and learn that debate and having differences is okay. Part of the problem, though, is we can't tell with things like deep fakes online what is really true and not true. It creates a scary situation. Here you have this guy in the middle that looks somewhat like Tom Cruise, but when he deep fakes or transposes Tom Cruise's face onto his and hops on TikTok, he creates Tom Cruise deep fake videos, and you would not know it's not Tom Cruise, only the fact that he tells you this.
In this reel, you're going to see my amigo, Chris Umi. He's going to introduce to you the wonderful world of deepfakes, how AI and VFX are unlocking the future of our imagination. What's up, TikTok? You guys cool if I play some sports? I think there's bubblegum inside this. That's incredible. How come nobody ever told me there's bubblegum? Incredible. Oh, yeah.
So it's kind of a silly video, but could this be very harmful down the road? Absolutely. So what is some of the deepfake danger potential? Well, cyberbullying is one of the obvious ones, where you create alternative truths leading to deception. Also having reputations and lives ruined, again, especially with the artificial intelligence that exists. And that permanent damage of ending a relationship, suicide, or maybe even civil unrest that could occur. Congress actually introduced the Deepfake Accountability Act due to some of these concerns. Just how misleading is the information that kids receive online, hurting them? Watch these teenage girls scrolling through their feeds that they believe to be positive, but as you'll see, they're not positive at all. But watch how more impactful it is when mom, who is sitting next to them, is being deep-faked by the same message that their daughters are receiving.
Social media can be good, but it can be bad as well.
In terms of her building her confidence, it can build her confidence.
Margie is just trying to find herself now, you know. She's not influenced by social media yet.
Most of the influencers that I've seen have definitely had a positive impact on me.
Hey guys, here's a beauty hack I'm obsessed with. I am so happy.
Look at how cinched my waist is. Look at how flat my stomach is.
It's the shortcut to flawless skin.
You know that Botox doesn't just reduce wrinkles, right? Baby Botox is amazing. You're never too young to start.
That is not me.
There are these great powders. They stop you feeling hungry so you can always skip breakfast and lunch.
And you have to treat yourself to a chemical peel. They're a total glow up. They burn away the top layers of your skin and let new skin grow through.
Hey, Mojo. If your teeth are uneven, you can always file them down with a nail file. It's literally so simple.
Fighting your teeth. Don't put up with your thin lips, sweetie. Lip filler kits let you inject yourself at home. They're my total go-to.
Fake eyelashes are so easy to glue on if you cut your eyelashes off.
There's some really great pills you can use. Keep telling yourself you're not hungry, you're just thirsty.
Never look bloated again. Look it into your skin. Sexiest lashes. Botox. Remember, skinny is never finished.
It's.
Have you actually seen stuff like that?
Yeah, a lot. This stuff is on every girl's feed. They're watching, right? I mean, at night when I can't see them.
It's scary to me that my kids are watching this and they think that's how they have to look.
I saw one of the teeth filing videos. I remember that one. I remember seeing that all over. I know this stuff.
I can't prevent them from seeing these, but I can talk to them about it.
100% always be talking. And have Peyton know that she can always ask me anything.
So these types of things are online all the time. When I've been across the state of Nebraska asking students if they've seen videos just like this, I can tell you all the students in high school especially are raising their hands and have seen these. But you saw how disturbing the message was when mom was deep faked, and the same disturbing messages were even more disturbing because they were coming out of mom's mouth as opposed to just the random individual online. There are several concerns with OpenAI. One of those, it only takes 3 seconds of your voice to be utilized to create a whole verbal dialogue. So imagine this example, where you as a parent are getting a call from your child or what you believe to be your child for their social security number, and you give it to them, but it wasn't your child. It was actually an AI version. Or there's alpha persuades. Basically, it's a synthetic relationship created online with your child. Now your child's not even talking to a human being anymore. They're talking to somebody on OpenAI. But realize these things go rogue. I'll be talking about this in our next series. Or it's that total collapse of reality where everything's fake. You can't trust anything online anymore. Or they're talking about religion, cyber weapons, lobbying, coding, and biology. They're referring artificial intelligence to this new Manhattan Project, the new technology that we need to get a grip on, because if we don't, we risk a lot of disturbances across the internet. When you have the executives of artificial intelligence saying they need help, it should be concerning. Samuel Altman in March of 2023 was in front of Congress saying we need to regulate this. You had the godfather of AI on 60 Minutes saying basically the same thing, that it has the might to escape control. It's rewriting its own code to modify itself. He basically said, we're at a point where we can't get this wrong. As I mentioned in part one, platform pressures, there's a lot of great things in our digital pool, a lot of fun things. However, we have to talk about these concerning things too. Is your child capable of understanding the deep fake content that exists out there, the artificial intelligent generated material and disinformation that exists online? Is your child capable of dealing with the emotionally charged content? Are they emotionally capable of handling the massive amount of information that is thrown in their lap? Are they able to understand their own biases, how it's impacting their viewing habits, how the platforms are feeding their viewing habits based on what they're clicking on or hovering over? Knowing how not to be manipulated by this online content. Do they have the capability of doing this? Do adults even have the capability of doing this? These are all questions we should be asking ourselves. So our discussion questions on synthetic media in part two: what is the potential impact of fake news on students and parents? How are your kids being impacted? But more importantly, how are you being impacted by fake news? Is it also impacting the school and your community? Chances are all these things are being impacted. We need to be aware of our confirmation bias, our own biases, and some of those things that are impacting. What is our position online? Are we willing to take a new position online to see a full perspective? We got to think about all these things in today's day and age of the digital era. If we're not thinking about these things, we are likely going down those rabbit holes. So as we finish up synthetic media, as digital consumers, we need to distinguish between real and fake sources. This is not easy, especially when everybody's perpetuating this false information online. We got to dig deeper with our social feeds, simply refining our digital intake habits to improve and become more digitally wise. It's not an easy process, but we got to do better. We got to work together to become better digital citizens. If you need more resources on synthetic media, you can look into dfinow.org, Children's and Screens, and some of these other resources like Common Sense and NetSmarts. Any one of these can have additional information for you to take in. If you need additional information, you can always reach out to NDE School Safety website. Use the QR code in the bottom right. If you have another question, you can contact me directly. This concludes Synthetic Media Part 2. Don't forget to look at Part 1, 3, and 4 also, all part of our Parent Academy